the quiet corners of the world, the shadows hold stories that beg to be uncovered. Welcome to Shadow Pit Mystery, a place where mysteries thrive, and suspense keeps you guessing. Each episode takes you deeper into the unknown, challenging you to find the clues hidden in plain sight. Let's begin this journey into the dark, where every silence speaks volumes.
The Future's Shadow, a mystery story by Grave Pit Shadows. The city was unrecognizable. Billboards, alleyways, and even social media feeds were littered with Todd Williams Richardson's ominous slogans, "The future cannot be stopped." Anonymous videos flooded the internet, showing masked individuals committing acts of vigilante justice in Todd's name. Each video ended with his chilling mantra, "The future is now." Detectives Rachel Mills and James Davenport stood in the ruins of a local courthouse, its facade blackened by fire. The arsonists had left behind a haunting symbol, Todd's cryptic runes etched into the charred walls. "It's not just him anymore," Davenport said, his voice heavy. "He's created an army." Mills examined the ruins, her flashlight catching glints of shattered glass. "And they're willing to burn everything to the ground." As they turned to leave, a faint, echoing laugh seemed to come from the rubble. It lingered, distorted and unnatural, as though the very walls themselves were mocking them. Davenport froze mid-step. "Did you hear that?" Mills looked back, her face pale. A wisp of smoke curled unnaturally into a vague humanoid form before dissipating into the night air. "We need to go. Now." The precinct was in chaos. Reports of future cells, groups of Todd's followers, were pouring in from neighboring cities. Each group operated independently, but followed a chillingly familiar pattern. Identify a target, strike without mercy, and leave behind Todd's signature symbols. "We're not fighting a killer anymore," Mills told the task force during a tense briefing. "We're fighting an idea, and it's spreading faster than we can contain it." A young officer raised his hand. "Why do so many people support him? They're treating him like some kind of savior." Mills hesitated, then replied, "Because he's hitting a nerve. People are angry at a broken system, and Todd's giving them an outlet for that anger." The room fell silent. Outside, distant sirens wailed, a sound that had become constant. Mills glanced at the window. Through the rain-streaked glass, she could see the city unraveling. Fires flickered on distant streets, black smoke curling into a sky permanently gray. Shadowy figures stood at street corners, watching, unmoving. That night, Davenport received an anonymous video on his phone. The screen lit up with the flickering image of a masked figure standing outside his daughter's school. The camera zoomed in on the building, windows dark and silent. Then the screen cut to black, followed by a single message. "We are closer than you think." Todd's voice filled the darkened room, broadcast from an encrypted live stream. His face remained obscured, but his words were sharp and calculated. "They call us criminals, but we are the architects of tomorrow. They cling to a system that protects monsters. We are the future, and the future cannot be stopped." Mills slammed her laptop shut, her frustration boiling over. "He's taunting us," she said, pacing the room. "And he knows exactly how to do it." "He's not just taunting us," Davenport replied, pointing to a map of recent attacks. "He's using these broadcasts to coordinate his followers. Every word is a signal." That night, Mills found a box waiting for her at home. It sat on her doorstep, drenched from the rain. A single line scrawled across the top. "The future sees you." Inside was a photograph. Mills standing at a recent crime scene, staring into the distance. unaware of the camera capturing her. The photo was taken at night, her face partially illuminated by her flashlight, and behind her, faintly visible in the shadows, a masked figure. She stood frozen, a cold dread settling in her stomach. The silence of her apartment felt alive, as if something were waiting. A creak sounded in the hallway outside. Mills grabbed her gun and swung the door open, only to find nothing but an empty corridor. Still, she swore she heard the faint hum of breathing. One of Todd's followers was captured after a botched attack on a city councilman. Mills and Davenport interrogated the suspect, a young woman with a blank stare and a haunting smile. "Why do you follow him?" Mills asked, her voice steady but her heart racing. The woman leaned forward, her eyes alight with fervor. "Because he's right. The system is broken, and he showed me the way to fix it." "By killing people?" Davenport shot back. "By removing the rot," she said simply. "The future is beautiful. You just don't see it yet." Before she could say more, the lights in the interrogation room flickered. The woman's smile widened. "They're coming for me." Suddenly, an explosion rocked the precinct. The power went out, plunging everything into darkness. Red emergency lights flared to life, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Through the chaos, masked intruders emerged, their movements precise and silent. Mills heard the clanging of metal, cells being opened, and the woman's voice cutting through the noise. "The future is here." The next attack hit too close to home. Davenport's apartment was ransacked, his family photos defaced with Todd's symbols. A note was left behind. "You can't stop what's coming." Davenport's hands trembled as he picked up the note. "He's coming for us now," he said, his voice shaking. "He wants to break us." Mills placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then we'll have to break him first." That night, Davenport received a call from an unknown number. He answered it hesitantly, his voice hoarse. There was silence. Then a distorted voice whispered, "Do you think your family is safe?" The line went dead. Davenport stared at his phone, sweat beading on his forehead. Outside his window, he thought he saw movement, a shadow slipping out of view. The silence of his apartment grew oppressive, like the walls were closing in. A sudden thud came from his front door. Davenport gripped his gun and approached slowly, his pulse pounding in his ears. When he opened it, the hallway was empty, but lying on the ground was a child's stuffed bear, its eyes replaced with red stitching and a note pinned to it. "You should have stayed quiet."
Another tale has come to a close, but the shadows never rest. Thank you for exploring this mystery with us on Shadow Pit Mysteries. If you enjoyed this episode, show your support by hitting like, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing for more gripping stories. What was your favorite clue? What theories did you have? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your wits sharp. The shadows have much more to reveal.